Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. This week we have a great guest on, assistant coach Rob Burke from the UNCW men's basketball team. Go ahead and give that a listen. He breaks down the entire roster, a bunch of new faces, some incoming freshmen. Let us know what you think. Thanks.
Get it in. Throws it to Ewing. Ewing surrounded. 2 seconds to shoot. He drives. He shoots. He missed. He missed. He missed. We ring the bell, baby. Ding dong. The witch is dead.
Takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35 to the 40. He's to the 45. He's the
Hawktalk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. I'm Easy.
Beard number 1 reporting for duty.
I'm beard number 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again. Today we have a very special guest on, assistant coach, director of basketball operations, Rob Burke for the UNCW men's basketball team. Great shout out to him. Thank you for coming. I know it's been something we've been working on for a while now, so it's good to get you finally on the show. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here, man. I'm excited about it, excited about the year, so appreciate you guys inviting me.
Absolutely. So, we'll go ahead and jump into things right away, too. Maybe just a little bit about your background. I know you're a North Carolina guy from right outside of Murfreesboro.
No, inside of Murfreesboro.
Oh, okay.
If you go outside of Murfreesboro, man, there's nothing but fields. So I'm from Murfreesboro, North Carolina. Born and raised there, man. My dad was the local basketball coach at Chowan College and went away to school for 1 year. Went to prep school for a year after high school at New Hampton Prep and came running back to Murfreesboro. Went to college there at Chowan, played for my dad for 4 years. And I got lucky enough. I went overseas for 1 year, played overseas in Ireland, and did about a 6 or 7 week stint at the end of that season in France. Got cut, and I was like, man, I'm coming home, man. I got homesick, and it wasn't anything like I was making any money. I was just having a good time, and got a job opportunity at Limestone College where I started coaching. And did a 2-year stint there with Larry Epperly as our head coach. Loved it, man. I didn't want to coach and didn't have anything else to do though, and I had to have a job. So I said, all right, I'll try it. And just it's like a drug, man. The whole competition side of things, what you get as a player, you could find a little bit as a coach and competing. So stuck with it. Did 2 years at Campbell, one for Billy Lee and one for Robbie Lang. And then at the end of my second year, I was lucky enough to get the head coaching job at Spartanburg Methodist College. And that was right outside of Gaffney. So I had signed a couple guys from SMC and built a great relationship with those people and had an opportunity to be the head coach there for 6 years, which was just a really eye-opening experience, man. It really was. There's a lot of guys out here that are, head coaches for the first time, man, and I got to make a bunch of mistakes with nobody watching, and that was unbelievable. I have the utmost respect for guys that take jobs and they are on the front porch of university, and it's a big market, and it's their first job ever coaching. So after that, took a trip down to Charleston, did the Citadel for 5 years, worked on a Chuck Drizel, and probably the hardest thing I've done in college basketball. It's a really, really tough basketball job, but a great learning experience, great people down there, just great guys that we had and very successful people. And then they decided to move in a different direction down there with our head coach, and so that's where the whole director of operations came out, man. I had never done that position before, and so just when you're a junior college coach, though, you do everything. You do your travel, you do your meals. So I just had a pretty good feel for what needed to get done, and so I was lucky enough to land with Mark Byington, UNC Wilmington grad. At Georgia Southern, did that for 2 years, and then I landed here with CB on his first staff, and did the ops job the first year, and it was a really, really good experience. I was lucky enough to, I didn't know Coach McGrath before, but I was connected to him in several other different ways with different people that he knew and I knew in conjunction, along with Coach Eslick and Coach Jackie, who I'd known throughout the business. And last year, Coach Wolf decided to become the head coach again. So Coach bumped me up, man. It's been a great little run here the last year and a half.
That's awesome. So your title now is actually you're an assistant. You're no longer director of basketball operations?
Yep, correct. So I and he'll get a kick out of this. I had young Matthew Lynch underneath my wing for a year and brought him up to speed, and he's taking the ops job, and he's twice as good as I am, man. He's really, really good. So Coach bumped me up, and then he bumped Matt up, and Walt, who was one of our managers last year, was able to become the video coordinator, which Matt was doing. So just kept it in the family and kept it moving up the tree, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So then, when you took over here, I know you kind of touched base with some former UNCW guys, right? Like Kevin Easley, Lucas McKay.
Yeah.
Tell me what was some things that they kind of shared with you when you were on your way up to UNCW?
Well, my sister went to school here. And so she lived here for 18 years. So I had visited her a bunch. I knew Benny Moss. I knew coaches before him. I knew Coach Wainwright, Billy Donlin. I've known a lot about UNC Wilmington most of my life, and so I knew this was a place I probably couldn't go to school at. The dean would have probably called me in after 2 weeks and said, "Hey, man, you're wasting your mom and dad's money. Like, you need to go somewhere else." So to work here though is it's a blessing, man. To be from North Carolina, to be at a basketball only school. I've been at places that everybody's had football, so this is the first basketball experience I've had as the flagship of the university, and so it was just exciting to get closer back to home. My mom and dad live in Wilson now, about an hour and 45 away, so that was great, man. It just a lot of things fell into place. So, and then obviously Wilmington itself, what a great city.
Absolutely. So yeah, your dad definitely gets the opportunity to see it now, to where he's not too far.
Definitely.
What's that like?
It's been really good. He's had some health issues over the years, but he's got a great little spirit and a great little mind to him. So he gets to a couple games. He's had some health issues this summer, so we haven't been down as much, but he'll get back here probably about the Carolina game. Hopefully that's his goal. So it's been good, man. He's always been a guy I can confide in every day. I bet we talk twice a day. And he just sees the game. He's got 600 some wins, man. He's forgotten a lot of basketball, more than I know probably. So it's always good to hear and have another set of eyes on your team. He watches us, he'll throw out points here and there. And he watches a lot of teams that we play. And he'll throw out ideas or personnel and take a look at this. What do you think about this? So it's always good to have somebody bounce those ideas off, and especially with his knowledge. He's coached at the NBA, Division III, JV basketball, junior college basketball. I think the only one he didn't do was Division II. So, and he coached at Hawaii. So a lot of experience.
Oh yeah, that's amazing to be able to have that kind of bounce ideas off of. That's awesome. And it's free.
Yeah, definitely. Well, sometimes it ain't, Fred. Sometimes I got to pay for a steak, but that's okay.
That's all right.
It's worth it, man.
Yeah, it's worth it. Absolutely.
You could tell, with that family background here, even when you got to Wilmington the first time as the director of basketball operations, you still had that seat on the bench.
Oh, no question.
And,
yeah.
You could tell that you can't take the coach, Rob Burke. So, even that first year, you could tell, putting you in that actual position in the second year was kind of a no-brainer.
It's really, really hard, man. That besides coaching at the Citadel, having to step back and not, you got to follow rules to a T and not coach. You can't have game input, but you're sitting there watching the game. And I got 6 years of head coaching experience, and I'm like, hey, I see this, and it's a really, really difficult thing. The great thing about it was that I had a great relationship with Jackie, who was at UNCG when I was at Citadel. Doug was at Gardner-Webb and he recruited some of my guys at Spartanburg Methodist and also at Mercer when I was at Georgia Southern. So I just had good relationships with those guys. I was able to talk to them. It was really, really good just to be able to say, hey, I'm seeing this. What do you think? And, at the same time, you still got to go do a good job with the job that you have. And being the ops guy here, there's a lot of different areas you have to cover ground on, man. And it's not an easy job to do. It's probably a demanding job, and that's what makes Matt so good. He can juggle a bunch of different cards and knows how to do it. And so I was just lucky that we had a really good guy behind me because he helped a lot. Matt helped me a lot the very first year we did it. So just a bigger operation here than it was at Georgia Southern.
It's pretty cool. You have, you've got a diverse background, some D1 programs and JUCO program. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize till you just said it, you had that European professional experience. Yep. Especially at this level, maybe one guy from last year, the exception, going kind of staying here in the States, but a lot of guys that are pretty solid CAA guys overseas are kind of your aspiration. Does that help you here where you are now?
Yeah, I think so. Guys, the one thing I've learned about this business, if you can still demonstrate a little bit, you can gain their respect a little bit quicker. And I try to stay in as best shape as possible. It's getting harder and harder. But if you can get out on the floor and you can demonstrate a few things, you can gain their respect a lot quicker than because guys basketball is totally different than girls. Like girls will listen and you say pivot with your left foot, they're going to pivot with their left foot. And that's what makes their game a cleaner game. But guys are like, they got all the answers, man. And they think they know everything. So if you can really show them, from the get-go, and then you have a little bit of experience behind him. And like I said, it was a low level of basketball that I was playing, but at the same time, hey, I did sign a contract. I was over there for a whole year.
Yeah, you were over there.
Yeah,
even a lot
it was
of
great.
Like top D1 basketball coaches can't really speak too much about actually having played in Europe, for example.
It's more the experience, man, when you go over there because, unless you're in Italy or Germany, France, and those guys make really, really good money. It's about the experience and learning the culture. I got lost in Paris one day and I had no idea how to get back. And the French do not like to speak English, man. They want you to learn their language. And so just to have that experience and see different things and travel a little bit and listen to different coaches, that was big. I mean, I saw a couple of national team coaches that I remember and I was like, wow, these guys got a pretty good basketball mind. So it was an unbelievable experience for me.
You think, too, that experience, I mean, you look top to bottom on that coaching staff. I mean, all you guys, CB, Jackie, you guys all have playing experience.
Definitely.
So you think that works with you guys to almost relate more to your players, more so like Mike's saying, with somebody that's never really been on the court themselves?
Definitely. There's no question. I mean, you think about it, if you look at Jack and you look at Coach McGrath, both those guys have unbelievable high major experience. Jackie obviously played. He's been overseas. He's been with the Celtics. He's been in a bunch of different camps. And then me and Doug are, a lower level of basketball, but we're basketball connoisseurs.
Still, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll film it up all day long, man, and talk about X and O's and come up with different ideas of how to put things out onto the floor. So our experience is we have a lot of it. We really do. But in saying that, you gotta be able to have guys that can take your experience and then take it out onto the floor, and that's the tough part about coaching. Everybody, just as we started here before, we listened to the Northwestern coach, man. Coaching is a really, really tough business, man. To be able to take what you have upstairs, your experiences, and take them, put them in a young man, and then put it out on the floor or whatever sport you're in. It's a psychology job like no other, man.
And what works today on this guy is not going to work tomorrow.
Exactly. Yep. And everybody learns different, and everybody learns at different speeds. Mm-hmm. Some guys pick it up like that. Some guys take a little bit longer. So.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Europe and whatnot. This year the UNCW basketball team was fortunate enough to take a trip over to Italy.
Yeah.
So you got a couple games in, but even just more so than that, probably a great overall experience, team bonding, a lot of new kids on the team.
Definitely.
Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, we came back in July, so this was the first year that we didn't do first session summer school, which was really good for us from a recruiting standpoint, because obviously we had to put a couple pieces in place after the season. And that first session off gave us time as a staff to kind of evaluate where we needed to go, what we needed to do, and where we need to go with our personnel. And so when we came back in July, we really started just basic concepts. Hey, let's guard the basketball. Hey, let's jump to the basketball. We moved to 2-on-2 stuff. We moved to 3-on-3 stuff. So we had about 4 weeks of what we call skill development to try to build these guys to a certain point. And then we got 10 practices right after summer school, and those guys were taking classes. We got 10 good practices before we left to go overseas. And so it was really, really good to get a feel for everybody and what they're all about. To put us in a practice setting, we were trying to get in shape a little bit. At the same time, we were trying to give them some different offensive concepts to play off of. And like you said, we had 7 new guys. And I count Marty as number 8 because Marty's, for us, to coach him on the floors, knew he was in practice last year. But, we were really working with Devontae, and he was our post guy. And so to move Marty in that spot, there was a lot of moving and new pieces. Kai was not with us until maybe 5 days before we left. Yep, he was with the Japanese national team. He played in the Jones Cup, and he was pushing to try to make their World Cup team, which just finished up here a couple weeks ago. So that was a good experience for us because we were able to see Mike. We were able to see, at the time we didn't know Mike was eligible. We were able to see what Shaquem could do. We were able to see what Amaje could do, Jake, those 3 new guys. And then Carter started with us, and then we had some hiccups academically. They had to finish up school. And so he really didn't practice with us until the last 3 or 4 days before we went overseas. So we got over there, man. It was a life experience for all our guys. Ty Gatson, who's been injured all summer, probably got the most out of the trip. I had no idea he was into art. I had no idea he was into history like that. And he really, really just digested the whole trip. And it was so much stuff. I mean, look, I wasn't a great student and I didn't pay attention to history, but when I got over there, man, it really, really caught my eye, everything that we did. I mean, we started, I think we flew into Milan, and then we worked our way down. We went to Vicenza, we went to Verona, we went to Florence, then we went down to Rome. It was just, there was so much packed into those 8 days. And the one thing we did do is we walked. It was almost, we walked so much, but we learned so much at the same time. And it was coach took the right concept of going over there and say, hey man, it's going to be a life experience. This is going to be a learning experience. And then we, obviously we played 2 games. We played the Venetian Tigers, who they were solid. There were some older guys on the team. It's the middle of the summer. It's not like they're practicing and working out. Yeah. It had to be about 99.9 degrees in that gym. It was unbelievably hot. I think we were over there during one of the hottest times they've had in a while. So, but the guys were excited about playing. We got up and down a little bit, and we shared the ball. That was a really good thing, is to see our guys just try to learn each other and share the ball a little bit. And just figure out what we could do. And then in game 2, we played a first division, Brennan scholarship. They were a second division team, but they had finished in wherever they classified themselves. So they were moving up to Serbia's first division seconds ago. And they were pretty good, man. I would say their bigs were definitely CAA level talent. I was like, they had 2 or 3 guys that were 6'8", all of them could shoot it. Oh wow! So they came up with the game plan. We came out of the gate with the next morning to our guys. Yeah, so we were going to give them the scholarship today. We did the Coliseum, won the game. We walked celebration, same type of effect, and it was hot. And then we had to, we traveled later that afternoon. To do it at the Vatican like that though, ended up being extremely in the special. Fourth. I think we were up about 10. Yeah, he does. Yeah, right. He's got his own. They had a couple older guys. Brent, man, what tell they had been professionals. What an instrumental piece. They made shots. Like Brent could go play, and Bob had to play good division. They were smart, and we could take Brent out of gas, and we didn't. Like, you can use Brent in certain spots. Like, he's not your wide open shot player walking. Like, Brent works. It was a great experience. He works on his game. He puts a lot of time in. Obviously, he's a great student. Saw the Vatican, and he just has a good basketball mind. He can shoot the basketball. So, like, I don't look at Brent as like this walk on, but we had that extra scholarship, and it was a great thing to use and show our guys that like hard work pays off, man. You just got to keep chopping wood every day, because good things will happen to good people, and that's what happened to Brent, man. And he had no idea, as you can tell.
Yeah, it looked like it.
So does that the scholarships are full for this season?
For this season, correct. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of open scholarships, I think that kind of goes right into just the new faces and a whole new squad of guys. I mean, we can go down the roster, but maybe let's kind of start with some of them freshmen that you mentioned. I know you mentioned excuse me, Shaquem, Amaje. Let's kind of break down some of those guys and kind of what led them here and kind of what, stood out about them that made you guys want to bring those kids in.
We'll start with Amaje and Jake and then Shah. So I'll work that way. Amaje, obviously from Green Central, probably hour 45 away from here. Just a good old fashioned Eastern North Carolina guy, man. His game is so much growth can take place in his game.
So raw.
He has no idea how good he could be. He's got a great little spirit about him. He's learning the game. Obviously, his first 3 years, I wouldn't say he had great coaching. And in his senior year, a former player from that school, Blue Edwards, who played in the league for a little bit, came back to coach him his senior year. And there's a lot that he has to learn. So Blue couldn't really get it all in and coach him up. But he wants to be good, man. He wants to be good. He wants to play at a high level. That's his goal. That's his dream. So we've tried to take his physical talents right now and really get him to understand the game, how we want to play, and how he can be effective in playing the way we want to play. And so that's been a good 8-week process. you're not going to see the best of Majay until probably 2 years from now. But he's going to be a major, major piece of what we're doing this year, and which I think is going to be big. I mean, he can run, he can finish at the rim, he can physically put his body on you, he can play up in the white box. He's just a raw basketball player right now. And so when we get done with him, I think you'll see some major, major jumps with him. I mean, he's got some tools. Like, he's got some things he can really do. A couple of times, I mean, it just happened that, like, ball came off the rim. He got it at about the three-point line. He took off dribbling it, and he made a couple Euro steps over there and finished at the rim. He made 2, like, full-court moves, and you were like, he just naturally did that. It wasn't like anything he had worked on. So,
well, and you can, when you watch him, you can tell, I mean, and it's cliche, but, I mean, his athletic ability is, you know, probably even right now coming in, I would say is at the top of the conference. I mean,
he's supreme athlete, man, supreme.
Well, and I hate to put the pressure on him, but we've talked about it before, just the baby Zion comparisons.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at his size and his athleticism, you know what I mean? It's and I know he's probably working on his weight and getting a little more in shape, so maybe some of that size may not be there, but he's still growing. Too.
Yeah, he has. He's. I mean, the guy's got a size 18 shoe, and he's like 6'6".
Yes.
If his growth plate's still open, maybe he's got another 2 inches. If Amaje is 2 more inches taller than what he is now, we have a really hard time getting him. Because there's going to be a high major program out there like, hey, we'll roll the dice. Even as unrefined as his game is, and they would roll the dice. And so hopefully in 2 years now we have a rising junior, and we're like, all right, now we're about to take a big step with what we've foresaw 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we started recruiting him as a junior. So Jack went and saw him at the middle of his junior year. Coach recruited him all summer with Stackhouse Elite. And this time last year is when we brought him on his visit and signed him. So I'm moving to Jake Boggs. It's probably a bold statement, man. Out of everybody in the locker room, the dude has so much talent. Like, I love Amaje's talent, but there's things Jake has that he's been blessed with that you just can't teach. There's no drill I can put him in. He was a guard 4 years ago. I think he was about 6'1" or 6'2", he told us. And now he's legit 6'9". He can handle it. He can shoot it. He can see the game. He understands the game. And then he just has this human tarantula body, man.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. His length is insane.
His length is like crazy. And so, you know, he's gotten with Ben in our strength program and starting to make some gains. But he has unbelievable talent. Sometimes I tell him, I walk by in the locker room, I was like, you have no idea how much talent you have. And I think the biggest thing for him is really believing that. Like, I think he looks at himself like I'm still this 6'2" scrawny kid.
Yeah, gangly.
And like, it's changing, man.
Yeah.
It's slowly changing. So he's gonna be a really nice piece. And I think he can stretch the defense for us. You can put him, he can be a guard. You know, there's an intensity level that he's trying to reach defensively and get better defensively right now. And he's learning that this game is played at a faster pace along with Amaje. And we're excited about having him, man.
Where do you kind of have him penciled in right now? All that.
You know, I think it's wide open, man. He's gonna have to help us because we need his basketball knowledge on the floor. We need his ability to use his length. You know, he's definitely a guy. I don't know, you know, exactly where he'd be at, but he's definitely a guy that's in the mix and he's got to help us as a true freshman.
More so like positionally.
Oh, I would say he's like this stretch four. Yeah, we definitely would play him like we play Gene. He's a perimeter-oriented guy. Now, look, if a 5'10", 5'11" guard gets switched up on him, Jake should be able to get him to about 12 feet, turn up and jump up and shoot over the top of him. So, you know, he'll pick his spots, but offensively, like, he'll be a perimeter-oriented guy.
Was he the guy? He break his?
Yeah, he broke both wrists. Yeah, he broke both wrists. That first game in July of last summer. So he goes up. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I just remember Coach was sitting right there, and he came down, and he broke both his wrists. One, his left hand, he got a plate in. His right hand, they just casted, and it's gone back. And that was, his body was still growing.
Yeah.
I mean, so
that he recovered and played full senior year?
Played full senior year. No issues for him throughout the year. Hadn't had any issues here with us at all, man. So twisted his ankle one day. That's about it. So
that's good news.
Yeah, definitely. We're excited about both those guys. So we signed those two guys early from a freshman class, and then we saw Shaquem. I saw him early September last year, just through a workout. Went by South Central. I knew they were a really good team. Stuck my head in there. I went over to Farmville Central. And then the same thing with him. He went through the process. He went through July. Nobody really bid on him. He went through the whole, I think Doug went and saw him one time too. So we kind of went through the first semester not really thinking we were going to take a high school guard. We had, at the time we had Kai, we had Gaddy, we had Jeff Gary, we had Jay. I mean, there was a lot of pieces there that we were just trying, we still could have gotten Ty Taylor back for another year. So you just didn't really know early where we were at. And so I just stayed on him. I went to First Flight Thanksgiving tournament, saw him there. Went to the John Wall, and I knew he was good. Like I thought he was a good solid guard. But then I saw him play against Rainey High School in Raleigh, and it was at, I think it's Broughton High School, standing room only, places packed. They got two of the better young guards in the country, and man, he belonged. I mean, he was out there and he got after it. And I was like, you know what? Just something about him. For 3 years, he's found a way to win. He doesn't lose. He doesn't try to do anything outside of himself. Makes shots when he's open, drives it when he's open, moves the ball when he's supposed to move the ball. And we just kept watching him. And then finally it got late, and we said, all right, we'll take a high school guard. And so I had recruited him the whole time, and I had a relationship with Chris Cherry, their high school coach. We brought him down one day. He worked out with our guys. And within about 10 minutes of playing, he finished a skill development workout and then played with our guys. And we were like, all right, yeah, we need to pull the trigger. And so, I think Coach talked to him that night and offered him, and that night he committed at about 9:30. So to me, I think it's a steal because people are just not doing their job and due diligence of evaluating talent. I mean, that's just one of those steals you get.
And you said that was what, Thanksgiving or so?
Well, first time I saw him play, it was Thanksgiving.
Okay. So when did he?
Oh, that would have been late April. Yeah, it was. I mean, we went through the whole year recruiting him, and it wasn't like we were all over him. But I stayed in constant contact with him and touched base and just said, hey, look, we'll probably do something late.
Like you said, things changed.
Yeah, and he took an official to Towson, and I'm guessing they just didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah,
so after that, it was kind of like he was still wide open, and so that's when we just kind of picked up the pace in April.
That was kind of what the impression that I got too, was that he had other offers, but because of how persistent you guys were with him throughout the entire time was what kind of led him to come here. Because I know he had opportunities, but like you said, staying on him and just keeping in contact, I think that was a big part of it.
Sometimes, he played on a really good AAU team, and this happens a lot. Like, you can be a good player and be on a good AAU team, but then there's probably maybe two guards there that might be just a step above you. And so you go into July and you don't get a lot of run. You might play 4 to 6 minutes. Yeah. It's a really, really tough evaluation for coaches to just see a kid play 4 minutes and then you got to go all in on him for your level. And so that helped us, to be honest with you. And I'm glad it did because, I think he's put on at least 8 or 9 pounds of muscle since we've been here. Like, he's in the gym and he's like this silent assassin. I mean, he doesn't say much. Hey, coach, what's up? How you doing? Does his work in the classroom, carries himself the right way off the floor, and just comes to work, man. Those are guys that will be successful with coach. Yeah. They really will.
That's the one. That was what I was going to say as well. With him and Amaje kind of both give off that impression. If anybody's more of a vocal guy, if I'm correct, it seems like Boggs. He's kind of the
Boggs got a great little spirit to him, man. He's a funny guy in the locker room. Yeah, that's what I was going to. He's got
a sense of humor.
Yeah, he does. He definitely he has the humor bug to him
for sure. And then kind of maybe going into the transfers then, because I know you guys got some big-time transfers. I know I just saw a list of top 100 transfers coming from other schools, and I know Tollfree made that list. I think he sat somewhere towards the bottom, but still made the list out of 100. And then I know the kid from Florida, too. You guys just got some good news in the last couple of weeks. Man. His waiver went through. Mike Akaru, am I pronouncing it right?
Yep, Akaru.
And then, obviously, too, you had mentioned Skaggs before.
Definitely.
And then John Bowen.
Yep.
Another guy from JUCO college that he was actually in. Was he in the state or was he?
Yeah, he was at Belmont Abbey.
Belmont Abbey, that's right.
Charlotte,
okay.
And he's from West Brunswick.
Okay, that's right.
So I'll start at the first name there. I think you had Toll-free, right?
Toll-free, yep.
So Brian, about this time, October last year, Coach Jackie went out to the Dallas Jamboree. He's a guy that went to prep school after high school and then went to junior college and just was trying to, find the right level for himself, get better as a player. And the very first game, he dislocates his ankle. So he goes up, dislocates his ankle, and so then he ends up redshirting as a true freshman. And then last year, Coach Jackie saw him in a Jamboree and just kind of wrote some notes down about him. And I just remember, I know how hard it is to impress Coach Manuel. Like he when he looks at players, like he has seen really good players and played against really good players. So like when he writes, I like this guy, I like his energy, then it's something that you want to
people listen.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have. And so I knew that coach. I had recruited his program before. Doug had recruited his program before. Neither one of us had signed a guy out of his program, so we were a little hesitant at first. But it was. I just got a good vibe from the kid. Called him, reached out to him, started talking, started recruiting him, and went out there and saw him play. And I just thought he had the moxie. He had the toughness that coach is looking for. He had the understanding of how to work, and that's a big thing. And I think he had a good understanding of how to play the game. Not a great stroke from three, but can make an occasional three. Good driver. And in my opinion, I think he could, besides Gadsden, be our best on-ball defender if he really just buys into it and really sells himself on it. And then I think he can be a great offensive rebounder. He's a big-time athlete. He's an older kid, too. Like, he's got 3 years with us, right? But he was 1 year removed from high school, 2 years removed from high school. He's 3 years removed from high school. So he's an older kid, and that's what it takes in this league to win. So he's a great piece for us.
Just a coincidence he's from Kansas?
Yeah, just a coincidence that he's from Kansas. And his mom stated when I first met her that she remembers Coach McGrath as a player because she's an EMT and she's just recently retired, but she was an EMT and she would work the games for Kansas and remembers Coach from there. So,
So you guys had an in.
And if you know anything about Coach McGrath, like he pumps up the Kansas guys a little bit. So Brian probably gets a little more love in Coach's heart than some of the other guys. I give him a hard time.
He might be pumping the brakes soon with that news that just came out, huh?
Yeah.
Might be pumping the brakes.
So, let's see, Michael Carew, right?
Yep. Mike, kid
love
from
him,
Florida.
Man. Great kid from Raleigh, North Carolina. Another older kid. Went to prep school after Ravenscroft at Brewster. Played on the only undefeated team Brewster's ever had. And if you know anything about Brewster, they've had talent, man. They've had really, really good teams. So Mike came to us and was like, I want to look at some other schools. I want to look at some other situations. Things didn't work out the way he wanted to at Florida. And it's not the fact that he can't play basketball. It just wasn't the right fit for him. And so I think this is a great fit for him. We got really lucky in signing him. And his high school coach has a great relationship with Coach McGrath, and that's how it all started. And Mike came in here, man, and just went to work this summer. And he really, in his mind, he thought, all right, I got to set out a year, really develop my body, develop my game, get my confidence back to where I know I can play. And, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, we got the news that he's eligible to play right away. So huge get for us.
Is that one of those things where you kind of expected he was going to be sitting out, roll the dice maybe?
Well,
play,
there's certain
expecting him to play.
Yeah, there's certain situations where you can file waivers, right. And Mike wanted to file a waiver, and people have no idea, like the work Coach Eslick did to get all the information he needed to get together, to put together a packet to get to the NCAA, man. You're talking about hours and hours of work. People have no idea how diligent Coach had to work at it to get all the information, get it together, package it the right way, and then get it sent to the NCAA, man. Kudos to him. It's that's the reason we got him, is because he put that work in.
Football, so many that don't go through all those little, minute reasons.
Definitely, man. It's a touchy subject for all athletes because, why does this guy get eligible when this guy doesn't? They go back and forth. It's not a great situation right now, but we're lucky enough we came out on the positive side. And with the Gadsden injury and not being able to get Ty back at the start of the season, this is a great pickup for us in that spot because he can do a lot of different things. He can guard, he can move his feet, he can shoot the basketball, he can score when his mindset is right, and that's what we're trying to do is really get him to understand, hey, man, we need you to be aggressive. Like, we need you to come put the ball in the hole and take the type of shots Coach wants you to take. So just a great addition for us.
Well, and he's got Power 5 experience.
Yeah,
Another
he does.
guy you can throw in that knows how to play at a high level.
Yep, he's not going to back down from any guards that he's seen. And Florida has really good guards, and he's seen guards throughout the SEC. So you're not going to hit with Mike with anything that's going to phase him. And playing at Brewster, I mean, he took it.
Yeah.
He took on the best at Brewster. I mean, they played everybody.
Well, and it seems almost reminiscent of Ty Taylor, really, to where, Ty sat behind some of those guys. You look at, a Fred Van Vliet, he sat behind and got to watch, comes here, kind of brings that experience with him, becomes a big leader here. Do you see that same kind of situation with Mike?
Mike's a little bit different. Mike probably doesn't think of himself as good as Ty Taylor thought of himself, but Mike's a guy that just going to go do his work, man. He's going to take care of business on and off the floor, but in that role, yes, I see him of being a guy that we need to be an impact guy and a guy that can, in this league, be a top 5 guard in this league. I mean, his talent says he can be that. Now, whether he goes and does that, that's where the work comes in. That's where he comes in his will to win and his will to go get better.
Well, and he's 6'3", 6'4"? I mean,
I'd give him every bit of 6'3".
6'3", yeah. So,
I'd probably say 6'4", but I'll give him 6'3".
Well, and that's one thing. I don't think you guys, other than Shaquem, I don't think you guys have any guards that are under 6'3", right?
Yep.
So, I mean,
Kai's every bit of 6'2.5", going on 6'3". Gas is our smallest guard right now.
Yeah, and he's probably, 6?
He's every bit of 6'1".
Yeah, so, and Shaquem too, and he's still growing, right?
No, he could sprout up another inch, which would be great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then kind of going into John Bowen.
Right, definitely. John, you mentioned his name earlier. Young man that had been with Coach Brunell for, 13 or 14 years. Lucas McKay started off as a manager here and just worked up the ranks and stayed with Coach Brunell, and now just took his first assistant coaching job at UNCW with Billy Donlin. So it's that was the connection. He called me one day. He was like, "Hey, you guys got scholarship available?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're still looking at bigs." And he's like, "All right, I'm gonna put you on one." The kid needed to get back closer to home because his father has a kidney illness, and he just needed to be able to help his mom. And being 45 minutes away, I think we're 30 some miles from those guys or whatnot, from their house to here. He went to Belmont Abbey as a freshman, and probably at the time was a Division II player. Developed his freshman year, had a good freshman year, came back as a sophomore, worked on his game, was probably still a Division II player, and as the year went on, probably molded himself into a solid Division I player. And so their coach left. I think he took a job at Iowa, if I'm not mistaken. John looked at the situation, was like, I don't know who the coach is going to be. It's the middle of the summer. I need to be able to help my mom out. And so they reached out to us, and we got permission to speak to him and went through all the correct channels. And then he came over one day, worked out for us, had a great little workout. The great thing about him is he had a good Division II coach. So he understands intensity. He understands how to play the game. He understands what a college practice looks like and how hard you got to work to be successful. I don't care what level it is. They work just as hard as we do at that level. So I see him as like this. He's probably a natural stretch 4, but we got to probably use him a little bit as a 5 and a 4 and just kind of piece him in there where we can figure out what's the best fit for him with the right personnel. But he's bouncy, he's athletic. Yesterday we ran the 200s, and I think, it was him, Marty, Amaje, one other guy was in that group, and he was head above heels, like he looks like a gazelle. So he's going to be a nice little piece for us. Obviously, we haven't gotten the waiver yet on him, so we're just waiting on that. We tried to file the same type of waiver to move back closer to home for a medical reason. So, and another thing, that Coach E did that one too. I mean, gosh, Coach E's had a busy summer, boys. He put together 2 packets of information I think that thing was 400 pages. So, but yeah, he's a great piece to have, man. A great guy to just be a part of our program. Like, he gets it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of kids out there that just don't get it. He gets it, and that's big for us.
He'd be a junior if he played this year?
He would be a junior if he played this year.
Yep. Junior next year.
He'd be a junior next year. So either way, for us, in my mind, I think it's a win-win situation. Would love to have him this year, but I can also see, like, oh, shoot, 1 year with him. You know, you see what we've done with Gene. You see what we've done with Marty. Like, we got a good track record of developing guys with a redshirt year.
Oh, yeah, so, that is something, too, that I was going to say and mention is just you do have a track record of turning out these guys that come in, they sit, and then they end up contributing at a high level for you guys right away. So,
well, it all starts with their mindset of wanting to get better. That's where that's a key critical part. If you got a guy here that doesn't want to work, probably not going to work out for him.
No,
because that redshirt year is hard. It's not easy, and you know, Gene put in unbelievable amounts of work with our staff, and then obviously Marty did the same thing last year. And like, I mean, I saw Marty with his shirt off the other day, and I'm like, okay, that's what a year like working with us looks like. Like, he's really done a nice job.
Oh yeah, it was visible with Gene too. I mean, you look at what Gene looked like when he got to campus compared to what he looked like now. I mean, Gene, and he was on here with us and said as much that, you know, he credits a lot of that to Ben and the strength team and the assistants that worked with him that whole off year. And then going into then Carter
Skaggs.
Yeah, I know him and Kai are buddies. Played high school ball together, if I'm not mistaken.
I think when Kai first came to the States, he went to Bridgeton.
Shout out to Maine.
Maine.
Yeah, that's right.
Our Maine listeners.
Yeah, right.
They played at Bridgeton Academy together, and so I think he went off to college. Kai ended up transferring from Bridgeton to Northfield Mount Herman, but they've had a relationship for 3 or 4 years probably. I think Carter started off at Chipola Junior College, and then ended up at Washington State, and had an opportunity to graduate with the coaching change, and so he took full advantage of that. Kudos to him. He did a lot of work this summer to trying to get that degree and finish up. And so he's considered that grad transfer. So he's working in our graduate program. And out of everybody, you're probably going to look at Carter, and this is, you know, he might get a little mad at this, but like, I mean, Carter there's nothing he brings athletically to the table. But I will tell you this, that joker can flat out shoot it, man. He can flat out shoot it. And with the new line, and it's backing up with us wanting to get better three-point shooting from our program, he is a perfect fit for what we're trying to do. And even if he doesn't get shots off or doesn't make threes, he's still going to make you respect him and open up the floor for guys that can drive the basketball. But he has got a pure stroke. I've been around 2 other guys. Matt Frierson could really shoot it. Jake Wright could the unbelievable stroke. Both those guys were just specialists. And then now this kid, man, he can really, really, really shoot the ball. So he's going to add great experience. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had 26 at Kansas State one night. I think that was probably one of his best games ever. But, like, if you leave him open, he's going to shoot it at a high clip. So he's got a great little spirit about him, man. He understands intensity. Coach's son from Indiana. He just gets it, man. He's one of those guys. You know, he's had an injury, an ankle injury, and so it set him back a couple of weeks. So he's trying to get himself in great shape. Shout out to Clean Eats. He's on the Clean Eats meal plan right now. Don, I need a lunch for that, Don. So I plug myself right there.
There you go.
You're looking for a sponsorship opportunity.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We'll take it.
But I'm excited about all those new guys. I think we all are.
It's just good to have another, Power 5 guy.
No question, man.
Just, in the program, and geez, like you said, from Indiana, was prep school in Maine, then down to Florida, then Washington. And now
he's seen a lot of different ways.
He's well traveled.
Yeah, he's definitely well traveled, and he's seen, I think being here and all the experiences that he has and how we do things, and then our program in itself. I think last Thursday night with the banquet, kind of caught him off guard. He was like, "Oh wow!" That banquet to me always signifies what this program is and who this program is. I don't care who the coach is. You take the coach out. That program shows you, hey man, these guys are serious about basketball. It's a serious mid-major program because of the support the city gives us, and obviously Coach Cal being a player here for 2 years, and just him representing that team that he played on and bringing those guys back. And then I saw Joe Justice, I saw Danny Dahl, saw Brett Blizzard. Man, I mean, Aaron Coombs came back, who's now a head coach at Georgia Southwestern. Like, it just shows you what this program is and what it has been.
Yeah, you were right about Skaggs too. As a freshman, dropped 24 against Kansas State. Yeah. He had a couple double-digit games.
Daily, man. He reminds me of Daily.
Yeah. Well, and with a point guard like Kai, he's going to get open shots.
And that's what we wanted to do in backing up to having some scholarships come available due to transfers. We said, all right, what do we got to get better at? We know we have to be able to shoot the basketball. This is one of the best three-point shooting leagues in the country. I think last year was number one. Field goal percentage and most threes made in the season. You had to fact check me on that, but I think it's real close. So we knew we had to be able to do that. Kai, we have to open up the floor for him. Obviously, and I'll tell you this, guys, Kai's made a goal to make 20,000 threes before the season starts on November 7th. And by the end of this week, he'll be at 10,000. So he's halfway home. He's really committed to being able to knock down a shot. Now, that's not his forte. Mm-hmm. His forte is making us better and moving the basketball and finding open players. And that's where his strength is at. So we had to put guys around him that can do that. Obviously, Gas can shoot it. Michael Karu can shoot it. Topher is a capable three-point shooter. Skaggs can really shoot it. Jalen Sims has really worked on his game to make himself a better shooter.
Boggs too, right?
Boggs can shoot the three. Yeah. Shaquem, we got to get there. He's not there yet, but he can make an occasional three. But we got to get him to a point where like he is just as much as a threat as anybody else on the floor.
The confidence probably a thing with him too is getting him to that point.
I mean, that line has moved back. It's an international line. It's not the high school line anymore, and so that's something that he's just going to have to pour into, man. But that was a concept that we went into the summer with, of getting better recruiting wise, and then we needed to get better defenders. We wanted guys that want to defend and are capable of defending, and every single one of those guys are definitely capable of defending and getting after defensively.
Yeah, and then maybe just some of the guys then that were still here that are coming back. And maybe I know some guys, a lot of people probably aren't that familiar with Martin. Mm-hmm. Maybe just give us a little rundown about Martin. And I know, like you said, he put in the work all last year leading up to now. Right. He's a hardworking kid. Give us a little bit of a background on Martin and kind of what his plan is going forward.
Definitely. Obviously, Marty's from Germany, came over to Dusseldorf and signed at Valpo and played his freshman year there. Coach Manuel obviously still had a relationship with that staff after being there for 1 year, and they notified him that, hey, Marty was probably looking to change directions from universities. And, I mean, to be honest, I don't think they thought Marty could play. We played against Marty down in Savannah Classic. You go back and look at the couple of minutes, he's banging in there with Tay. He's physical. He understands the game. He needs more time. And so Marty came down, worked out with Coach Wolf and the staff, man, and we're watching the workout. We're like, they don't think he can play? Sure, we'll take him.
Yeah,
he can play.
Yeah.
He has a great understanding of the game. Somebody taught him at a young age, how to play the game. He's got a really, really good skill level. Left hand, right hand, jump hooks. He can face up and shoot the 15-footer. He has worked on shooting the three. I don't think he's there yet, but in due time, I think he'll make an occasional three here in the game. He's definitely going for that. So but he needed to get in better shape. He needed that year just to really, because he got a taste of it, obviously, at Valpo. But his minutes weren't great. And so he came in last year, man, and he just poured into himself. He poured into his basketball game. He poured into the weight room of really establishing his body, and not so much to get stronger or just to become a fit athlete to where he can run and change ends of the floor, where he physically can bang down low and then move his feet out on the perimeter. There's going to be times that he gets caught on a guy that can really handle it. He's got to be able to move his feet. So he did those things. First game in Italy, he'll tell you he was atrocious. He didn't play well. And second game, he comes back, man, and didn't start. And coach got him in there midway through the second quarter, and he got 6 to 8 buckets. So it was back to the basket. We would throw it in there to him. So great spirit. Really, really has tried to be a leader. He sees what's going on. He can digest everything. He knows what coach is talking about. So then he's done a really good job of trying to relay that to our players in skill development and practice, off the floor, on the floor. So he's a great piece to have, man. I enjoy being around him. He's just those guys that, like I said, we tried to find guys that just get it, man. I don't know what just get it exactly is, but things you don't got to go worry about him.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we wanted and what he's developed into.
Well, and guys, you don't have to tell more than once.
Correct.
So,
exactly.
right.
And he can pass, man. That's an underrated thing that I think he doesn't even know. He can really, he knows how to move the ball. He's played, with some good players in Germany. And so I'm excited about where he's at and to have 3 years with him. Yep.
Yeah.
So
well, and for a guy his size, being able to pass, it's
definitely
kind of like an added bonus.
Yeah,
and speaking of his size too, he's the only guy on the roster right now over 6'7".
Is
right?
he? Yeah, Maje's every bit of 6'6". So he's 6'8". I give John Boyne's every bit of
Close.
6'7.5", going on 6'8".
So yeah, then looking at that, I mean, we can kind of touch base. I know people are more familiar. Obviously, we know what Kai brings to the table. We know about Ty and Jay too.
Yep.
And like you said about Ty, he won't be ready till probably about conference.
Yesterday
time,
was
right?
his first time of really starting to work on his ball handling, starting to work on his passing, starting to work on his shooting, and all from about 7 feet out. I will say this: he has not lost his touch.
Mm-hmm.
He hit 16 in a row yesterday from about 7 to 8 feet.
Oh yeah,
and 12 to 15 of those in a row, just nothing but net. So he has not lost his touch.
Yeah, the kid can shoot. That's
so
for sure.
Obviously, he had some hip issues that we got taken care of, and then he had to come back and get the sports hernia done. So it's just going to be a little bit longer process with him of getting him to where we want him to be. I tell you, the biggest surprise out of those guys you mentioned, and I'll touch on Kai here in a minute, but Jay's teammate, it's amazing what 3 years will do. I mean, he's going into his 3rd year, so we started really summer 3 years ago as summer, and we brought him to both sessions summer school. He's really done a nice job with his game. He led us in scoring over in Italy, about I think 14 or 15 a game he got. Just understands the game, knows how to play, has figured out who he is as a player and what is going to work in this league, and has really bought into that. Making open threes, getting the 2 feet in the lane, pivoting out, being able to shoot over the top of people, playing off the pass, understanding how to play. Those things are critical, man. And he's gonna be a nice little piece for us. I stuck my head in there. They were playing pickup Saturday, and I asked a couple of guys, who played well, and everybody, Jay was the best player on the floor. So it's good to hear because he has put a lot of work into his game.
He's the longest tenured Seahawk.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, surely is.
It's a trivia question.
That is
vet,
true.
Man, he's the vet.
That is true, and I think bringing those guys like him back, that's going to be key for you guys.
Yep.
From tip to start the season.
Yep.
I mean, having those guys, him, Kai, I mean, they're going to be able to kind of provide some type of, I don't know, stability.
They will. They definitely will. So if you look at Kai, Jay, and Sims, they played a lot of minutes last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a rude awakening for Sims and a rude awakening for Kai because, Kai had not been a starter at his prep school. And so we bring him in and he ends up winning the starting job and, has a great, great year. But in this league, there's such good coaching. You're gonna figure out what you can't do. And he finished up the year. We didn't touch his shot or anything. We just tried to work on getting reps up and just shooting the ball. And when I say shooting the ball, I'm talking making 300 a day, making 200 a day. You got to be able to make the shots. You can shoot all day long, but you want to get makes. And so he went home. He did training camp for that team. Then he went to the Jones Cup. And for him, he didn't play well. It really bothered him. He didn't find a good rhythm like he did the year before. Didn't shoot the ball well. Just didn't feel like himself. And so he got back to school here. It would have been early August. Obviously, we did the trip, and then we came back from the trip. When we got back from the trip, for the last 5 weeks, I've seen a major change in him really honing in on what I got to get better at. Like I said, Coach E challenged him. I challenged him to let's make some adjustments with your shot. And he's done that. We filmed him just about every 3 or 4 days. We've tracked every make he's taken over the last 5 weeks. Like I said, by the end of this week, he'll be at 10,000 makes. And that's just to make 1 or 2 threes a game. Really, I mean, it's not like he's going to take a lot of threes. We're shooting that. We're trying to make 20,000 threes just to make 1 a game. And that's the type of work he's put in with his game. He's gotten his weight down. I know he did his bod pod this morning, so I'm anxious to see what that is because he did it at the end of last year. He was a little bit heavier than what he had been in the past, just because it was the first time really getting after it in the weight room, and so he's gotten himself really, really fit. I mean, running those 200 yesterday, man, he looked good, man. He really did. So I'm excited about where he's at right now. But look, I mean, people are going to key in on him. He's a major piece of what we're trying to build, and so he's got to go play the game the way Coach wants him to play it. And I think that's going to be the biggest jump he makes this year, because we all know he can find open shooters, but finishing at the rim, he's worked on really, really hard, making this little right-hand pull-up jump shot, and then obviously making an occasional three. The sky's the limit for the kid, because at the end of the day, out of all our guys, he does have the best basketball mind on our team. He sees the game. He understands the game. I think the big next step for him after this season, too, is now to start to be a true leader, a vocal leader, a guy that can now start to go teach young guys. And that will be the next step for him. But I'll tell you what, this step he's made between your freshman and sophomore years is going to be a big step for him.
Maybe working on his defense too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We challenged him. You know, at the end of the day, man, hey, you got to get better. You got to guard the basketball, because at the end of the day, that's the basis of your defense. If you can't stay in front of the ball, then you're going to be in rotations all night long, and that's what we want to get out of. We want to get out of rotations, and guarding the basketball is the base of our defense. And so the good thing about having personnel behind Kai is like, hey, if you don't want to guard the ball, that guy will. That guy will. Come on and sit over here with us. The greatest teacher in the game of basketball is the bench. It'll fix a lot of things. It will. And so, we just got to hold each other accountable. Our guys got to hold each other accountable, and he's bought into it. I mean, like I've seen a major difference in him. His mindset. He's hungry. And he's a winner. He wants to win. And at the end of the day, that's what we all came here to do is try to win. So as we talk about all these guys, and we talk about our personnel, we're looking at guys that have won before. Shai has won big. Mike has won big. In Kai's different situations, he has won before. Sims had won in high school. So Marty had won in Germany. So it's just like we want to make sure we're around winners and guys that are willing to pay the price to win. But yeah. Who else am I missing? Am I missing anybody? Returners? Sims.
Jalen,
Yeah, Jalen Sims. Works ridiculously hard, man. Nobody spends more time than that kid in the gym, to the point where we have to tell him, you're in here too much. Yeah. You're burning yourself out. You have to step away from it. And that's a hard thing for him to digest right now. He shot yesterday morning at 7 a.m. He shot yesterday at 2 o'clock. The girls had media day. He came back and shot after we ran. So we ran our 9-200s conditioning test yesterday. He ran those things. It was phenomenal in that. Came back and shot right after that. And then I just happened to be on the phone with Matt at 9:30, and he was back at the gym again. So we got to curtail that a little bit, right? Because we need him in February. We don't need him to be a hero tomorrow. We need him to be there in February. But he just has a motor, man. He has a goal. He's driven like no other kid I've seen. He's the only guy I know that would come in the gym, stretch, and then start doing closeouts as his warm-up. Nobody else is in the gym. No basketball, just closeouts. So he wants to be great, man, and he's been a driving force for us. The way he works, everybody else looks around and go, all right, that's what we got to do? Yeah, let me follow that. I got to do that. And he just brings it, man. So we got to get him now to where he becomes this just offensive rebounding machine, because Ben has done an unbelievable job with his body. He looks really fit right now. We got to be cautious of not getting him too big. He doesn't want to become some big, just overgrown guy. He's really worked on making and knocking down open threes. He's worked on his defense tremendously. That's going to be a big step that hopefully he takes this year. He's committed to it, and he's willing to do, what we ask him to do. He's gotten better at decision making, having the ball in his hands, making good decisions. And I think his ace is just getting to 9 to 10 feet and just raising up over the top of people and making shots. But it's going to be a big year for him, man. I think it's going to be exciting. He wants to win so bad, man. It's just, sometimes he gets so frustrated at himself that he can't step back and say, look at all this work I've done. Trust in my work. Just trust in my work. It's going to come through. And that's just, where he's at mentally. It just takes time, man, to really believe in what you're doing. So he's going to be a big piece, man. I really like what he's done with his game and his body, and You can't question his work ethic, man. It's impeccable. It really is.
Well, that's amazing too for a sophomore.
Yes,
that work ethic.
Yeah.
I mean that's to lead by example in that way is only going to help your team.
He took a trip himself. He took 2 trips this summer. So he went to Israel.
That's what. Yeah,
he played with AIA, Athletes in Action, and if you don't know Jalen has got a great faith, man. He's got a strong Christian-based faith, man, and it's rubbed off on guys in our program. It really has. And so he has a dream, and he is going to make sure he does everything he can to accomplish that dream. So I'm happy for him.
Well, in that too, you look at around this time last year. I mean, I still remember media day. Coach McGrath didn't know who his starting point guard was going to be. He didn't know what the rotation was going to look like. I think this year you guys have a little bit more of an understanding of who's going to do what.
Definitely.
Maybe not exactly, how many minutes or what positions, but to me, the way it's kind of looking like it's going to go is it more in the direction of a little bit of positionless basketball?
Yeah, we have
kind of getting guys to do a little bit of everything.
Yep. For me, Coach coming from Carolina, we've obviously taken a lot of things that Coach Williams has done and Coach has implemented into his program, and I think we've gone through it for 2 years. And things that have stuck out that we've talked about is, hey, we got to be able to shoot the basketball. We have to be able to make good decisions. And we got to be able to defend the ball. So those things in recruiting, now you take those 3 philosophies and you go out and now you try to put the pieces in place. And I think we are getting to that point to where we can, if you can handle it, if you can shoot it, if you can pass it. And when I say pass it, making good decisions, then you got a chance to play for Coach McGrath. And so whoever that may be, whoever 5 that may be, he's going to put the best defenders on the floor first and foremost that will take his defensive philosophy out there and execute it. And then those 3 concepts of handling, passing, and shooting go at the other end. And if you can do those things, I don't think Coach cares about what number you are. If Kai doesn't bring it up 2 or 3 possessions in a row, I don't think that matters. As long as that person that's bringing it up has a good mindset and a good decision making, and Kai's where he needs to be, then if that's what you call positionless basketball, then we're headed in that direction. But in the recruiting process, you get involved with certain kids, and then it just kind of sometimes just happens. To be honest with you, it's not like, if you told me we could sign another Gene, I'd definitely go sign another Gene. I mean, Gene's a capable player. If we could sign another Devontae, definitely would sign another Devontae. You just don't see that, as a high school kid, you're trying to go out here and look at guys. It's hard to project that, really. So. Well,
yeah, and even Devontae wasn't Devontae as a senior in high school. So it's kind of too having faith in what you guys are doing here, definitely. Being able to bring that out of guys.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Skill development's a big piece of what we do here. If we're not practicing, we're definitely skill developing. And it's not so much like we're going to take certain things that you need to work on and we're going to hone in on that, focus on it, and then take 30 minutes to an hour to really get you better at it. And if you're a guy that has goals and want to obtain certain goals in your life, this is a great place for you to be.
Well, and then too, really for a mid-major like this, that you have to have like your niche, right? You have to have that thing that you do great, or you're not going to survive. I mean, and UNCW has never really, spent much time in the basement of the CAA to where, you have to be able to do something at a high level to be able to consistently win here.
Definitely.
You're not getting those Power 5 guys knocking the door down to come here, to where skill development, I feel like, is a key for you guys.
Development. That's what it is, man. You're not going to beat any of these high majors on a recruit. You could get them after they go up there and then decide to transfer it down, which is fine. You get caught in a situation where, hey, Gene develops and then he decides to take a step up. Those are far in between few, but we feel like we're a development program. And what I mean by that is like 3 years from now, Shaquem Phillips will have developed into a really good CAA level player, hopefully a first teamer. But obviously we got to maintain the academics, and he's got to be willing to put that forth. He's got to carry himself on and off the floor in a first class manner. And then he's got to go take his game and work on it. We figure out what his deficiencies are. We make them better. Same thing with Amaje. And that's when you start to build a program. We're in the recruiting process now with one scholarship for 21. And so we're looking around and we see our team. We know where these 13 guys want to go. And so now you start to piece in behind, all right, let's look at this high school kid. Okay, let's look at this high school kid. 2 years from now, after he graduates high school, after he finishes freshman year, and we finish the sophomore year, so-and-so graduates. Will this talent be ready to perform? And I think if all the intangibles are there, now you start to build and continue to keep putting pieces in place. And that's our goal. That's our big picture goal, where we want to get to.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Well,
I struggle looking that far ahead.
Yeah,
2021.
You have to, man. I know. I'm like, hey, man, we got to just win one game. We got to win one game. Let's win the first one. Let's win the first one. But you got to have that big picture, and that's what building a program and putting your stamp on a really good program does.
Let's just real quick wind down here. So here's what I'm looking forward to about a month from now, Midnight Madness. And then 11 days later is the season opener, Johnson and Wales to Trask Coliseum.
Yep.
And that's a regular season game.
I think that's exhibition, right?
Exhibition.
Yeah, that's exhibition.
I think so, yeah.
Where are you at right now? Is this full-time practices yet, or are we...
So Thursday will be our first full-time practice.
2 days from now?
Yep. So we've done we got to school. We had 3 days, just kind of get adjusted. Then we took the next week to really let guys get involved with class. And we came back that Monday. It was going to be our first workout, and we got knocked out of school because of a hurricane. So, that's starting to become part of our recruiting pitch, man. Come on to Wilmington. We're going to get you a free week of vacation. You're going to get a hurricane.
Yeah. Might not have a house, but...
Yeah.
I know.
Ever experienced?
Hopefully that's the last of the storms. But we missed that 1 week. But since then, we have gone just about every other day as far as 4-man groups, working on some different skill stuff, coming together, working defensive concepts. And so we'll start to go implement that as a team starting Thursday. So I think it's 42 days before your first game you can play.
Yep.
And you get 30 practices inside those 42 days. Fact check me on that. Lynch will. I know he'll get me on that one. So, So Johnson Wells will be right here. We're going to scrimmage. UNC Pembroke will be our first good scrimmage. We're going to go to their place. Coach knows their staff really well. I think they work together at Kansas, so that's going to be and look, those guys are really, really good, man. UNC Pembroke that's a good Division II basketball program. So it'll be a great test for us. And I think our other scrimmage is Charleston Southern, so we'll get 2 really good ideas of where we're at. And then we'll just get ready for Carolina. We got obviously go out against Johnson and Wells and try to get a taste of what a game like is in Trask, and then I think that Friday night, man, is gonna be standing room only.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be a packed house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be probably one of the bigger games on campus in quite some time.
Yeah, you want to test yourself, man. That's one thing I will say about CB. Like, he has not played a cupcake schedule.
No, not at all. And I think
we played some dudes, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's gonna help you guys in the long run too. Where I know I spoke with, I think it was Alex Riley last year about the non-conference schedule, to where that kind of sets you guys up to you'd already been tested as much as you could be, to where once conference time came, you guys were kind of, I think, a little more prepared than you would have been if you played a bunch of Johnson and Wales first month of the season.
You don't get exposed.
No.
Like, we need to see what our weaknesses are. Like, all right, we're going to play Carolina. Obviously, their talent is, at really high level.
It's usually always off the charts.
And we're going to find out, okay, what do we need to work on? And then from there, we'll play Campbell, I think, that next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. We'll get a good test from them. They're a good mid-major program. And we'll just keep kind of figuring out where we need to get to. I think the FIU and the Cleveland State game will be a great test.
I think Davidson, too.
Oh, it's going to be
Davidson, another Davidson game. They play.
Coach,
yeah,
man.
they know how to play. And I'm pretty sure they're returning most of those guys you saw last year. So that'll be a great test.
It'll be a great test. And then going on the road, it's so much different. You want to test yourself on the road to get in a hostile environment, which they got a great home court advantage, and figure out where we're at. I think it was a 5-point game last year. We had about 4 to play, and we just, we couldn't get over the hump. But hey, man, we just got to go in there with a great mindset. And it's about getting better in that non-conference schedule, because at the end of the day, man, you just got to be good for 3 days. Yeah. You just got to be good for 3 days. If you get a good seed, you got to be good for 3 days. And so that's what your 3 seasons are for. You got your non-conference season, you got your conference season, and you got your tournament season. So that's what it's all about, man. So I feel good about where this club is at. I couldn't, if we don't win a game, I feel good where we're at. We got good people. We got good kids working hard. Good things are going to happen for them. So, I would much rather spend time with guys like this than having to pull teeth to get you to play hard, to get you to play the game the right way. So this has been a refreshing last 15 weeks, I guess you could say.
That sounds great. I know a lot of people in the city are looking forward to this season. So
I am
good
too.
luck
I am too.
to you guys. It'll be good to see.
Coach is putting a good product out there, man. He's doing things the right way, and that's half the battle, man. You know, as you guys well know, there's a lot of guys out there cutting corners, man.
Oh yeah,
it's all over the news, man. It's one thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna have a great level of integrity, and Coach is gonna do things the right way academically, on the basketball floor and off the floor. So.
Yeah. Hopefully sooner than later we'll have him on to talk about it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thank you. We appreciate
you, man. Thank you, guys, man. Appreciate you having me anytime.
Absolutely. It's been another episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This was assistant coach Rob Burke. We appreciate you.
Thank you.